Kind of take us through that competition you got on the back end
Yeah,
with your
well,
group.
we have obviously a lot of new faces, a lot of experience to replace, with losing all three starters. But nobody cares. You got to go out there, and the hard thing about the back end is, it's hard to cover up mistakes. When guys in the first level make mistakes, you got the linebackers covered up, but in the back end, if mistakes happen, then usually points occur. So, there's a lot of competition right now, and kind of like Coach Arnett always says throughout the year, I mean, whoever practices the best will get a chance to go play and start, and if you don't compete well in the games, then there's probably going to be a new starter the next week. So really trying to figure out who's the best three right now and go from there. But there's 6-7 guys that we're traveling with and competing for jobs.
Who have you seen kind of take on the leadership in that safety room with a lot of inexperience there?
Marcus Banks is a guy that's been around, fifth-year guy. He's played a lot of football. He's ready for it to be his time, because he's been a backup and a special teams guy. And so I think he's excited to kind of take on that role and enjoys studying film. And, with a lot of these young guys, even these transfers that are young, and they got to see what success looks like. And so, Sean Preston's a guy that's been around for a while, another fifth-year guy. And so those guys are the ones that are going to have to step up and lead by example, and so bring the other guys along. So those two have kind of been the main ones so far.
What have you seen from Isaac Smith? Obviously, he missed the spring, but we've seen him out there with second team. How has his progression been in a short period of time?
It's been good. You talk to Isaac like he's been here for 3 years, but you forget that he's still a true freshman. And when you look at it now with all these footballs year round, right? You got really 31 practices, you got 15 spring practices, and you got all these OTAs. And so he missed the OTAs. He missed spring ball, so he had to kind of come along pretty quick. And the good thing about him is he knows football. He's picking up football, so he rarely makes the same mistake twice. And he's learning and he's growing, and fun one to coach.
Talk about the starters you guys are replacing. Just how much does it help having a guy like Sean Preston who's been here, been in the defense, kind of plugged in various spots throughout his time?
Yeah, it's you can't replace experience. That's what's hard. It's you try to teach the guys. One guy makes a mistake, everybody try to learn from it, but it's like parenting, right? Guys got to make mistakes and then learn through it the hard way, and you just hope you get all that stuff corrected in practice before it actually happens in the game. But Sean's been doing a good job. He came back for a reason. He got his degree and wanted to come back for one more year and help every which way and be a leader and get the team rolling.
How's the transition been for you being on the field for the first time?
It's been good. At the end of the day, wherever you're at, football is football. And just focus on each day, each meeting, each practice, walkthrough, just keep getting better and better and better. And and we're a week out and still got a long ways to go. And like every coach says, you got to take jumps and strides from game 1 to game 2, from practice to practice. So, it's a fun group to coach. There's inexperience, but they want to be coached and continue to work on the toughness and the mindset, just to continue to grind and get better every day.
Thanks your first time on the field.
No.
So take us through the progress that's been hard to believe. It's several weeks since camp started, and now you're facing game week. Just kind of take us through the defensive line's progress.
Yeah, it's been some good and some bad. The guys have been working really hard. Have been trying to do what we asked them to do. Good thing is we don't play this week. Thank goodness. We got another week to kind of get ready and get them prepared. And the older guys have really stepped up and leading the way. Crum, I think, has taken an active role in trying to be a leader with the group and really helped him and helped the group both. But I'm pleased with some of those older guys and some of the younger guys have got to step up, obviously. But I think we'll be okay.
How intentionally have you matched them, not just to get them experience together, but to kind of bring the guys along, playing some younger guys with the veterans to get a taste of things?
Well, in this league, you can't play 65, 70 snaps a game up front. You can't do it. And so hopefully the guys understand that, it's about developing depth, and I got to feel good that you know what to do, let alone how to do it. That's a big part of it. But some of those younger guys, they're starting to come along, and I say younger guys. You look at Dink, you look at Travion. Eric Taylor's a junior college guy who obviously we brought in to hopefully fill some gaps. So, we're coming. It's never as fast as you want it to be as a coach, but we're coming along. We're making strides.
One of those young guys has kind of created a buzz this camp, and Coach Arnett's kind of singing him out as Deontay Anderson, and a lot of his teammates have said he seems more confident and comfortable with the system. What have you seen from
Well,
him?
he's definitely been better than he was in the spring, so that would be improvement. And by no stretch of the imagination is he where he needs to be, but he's working. At least he's trending in the right direction. And he's had some really good practices, and then he's had some bad practices, but that's really not different than anybody else. But I'm pleased with where he is. I think he's a little bit more focused. I think he's stronger. He's a little bit bigger, so I think all that kind of complements him and where he is right now. But been pleased with him. He's starting to come along.
DeMonte Russell is a guy who's been around a little while now, and he's moved around some. He made out. He told us he wanted to have a big year this year. So what have you kind of seen from him? In training camp?
You know, he's kind of a jack of all trades. We play him about every position up on the front. You know, I think it's a little more in him than what we're getting, and hopefully we can get that out. But you know, I'm pleased with where he is. Could he be better? I think so, and we just gotta drive and get that out of him. You know, he knows what to do. He knows how to do it. Now it's a matter of doing it fast, hard, and violent, and that's the bottom line.
You brought in a pretty decent-sized group of freshman defensive linemen. I know now it's about getting ready for the season, but what have you seen from Joe Head and that group?
Well, those young guys, it's a great group of guys. Been pleasantly surprised with Joe. Same thing with Caleb. Gabe has had some good days and bad days, and so has Jonathan Davis. But that's a good group. I think by the time they become juniors and seniors, that group there, those guys, they'll fit right in with some of the better D linemen we've had here.
With even though we have so many veterans that played so many snaps there, how has it made the competition not just with each other, but the fact that Coach Brock's explained that you're still trying to decide how many linemen will you play every game and what matchup, how many linebackers they're competing just to get on the field?
Yeah, you know that's the whole deal is in the program. You got to compete and you got to fight every day. You know, I would like to play everybody. I would like to have a role for everybody. The fact of the matter is, you got to prove that you earned the right to play, and I got to be confident that you know what to do. And but we've gotten some good competition. Some guys have stepped up. Obviously, I think it echoes to the fact that the guys know, and those older guys know, you can't play 65 snaps in this league. You just can't do it. And so everybody's got to have a role, and everybody's got to be able to get in there. We can't have a drop off. You know, if one of those young guys go in, hey, we got to be able to play and keep the momentum and keep the thing going. So, but the competition is developing.
What have been your impressions of Jordan Davis and kind of, you know, what he can be if he can kind of string together some health, you know, consistency?
Well, Jordan's big deal is just to make sure he's healthy. You know, him coming off that knee surgery and all, he's been banged up a little bit, but Jordan is a young man that wants to be a great player. He works at it. It's important to him. And he's coming around. He's had a whole lot more good days than bad days, which is good. And we've moved him around a little bit and trying to figure out what he can and can't do, so we can make sure we get him in the right position where he's got a chance to be successful.
How have you seen some of the older guys, you mentioned Crumedy and his leadership, just respond to you coming in, given your history of developing NFL draft picks and guys like that looking to take the next step?
Well, you know, from that standpoint, I think I've been fortunate, and you know, those guys knew of me before I got here. They've embraced everything I've tried to teach them. They listen. They want to be great players, and it's my job to help them and develop them. But, you know, it's been great. It's been great being back. Pick, I've known for a long time. Pick, I think the first time was 6th grade, you know, and he's starting to really come along, knock on wood. Hope I don't jinx him, but those guys have really kind of hung on to everything I've told them and worked the tail off and trying to get better.
So just start talking to us. Tell us what your line's been doing this camp.
Trying to get better. I think, you know, obviously new system, and I think the guys have done a good job of trying to learn it and ask them to do some different things. Got a long way to go still, but, you know, every day's an opportunity to get better, and we'll approach it that way as we'll try to get better, you know, tomorrow, Saturday, into next week, and even on Thursday. It's not just, you know, I think that's a little new for them. It's not just, you know, rehearsal for the game. We're trying to get better even on a Thursday. So that's kind of been what we're trying to do, and that's what we'll keep doing.
How's the transition for those guys going from having to be in pass pro about 70% of the game to more of a balanced attack and more run blocking?
Well, we still throw it a lot. you know. So I think there are more runs than what they've been used to in the past, a wider variety. That's probably been the biggest change, more than not running the ball. You know, just by formationally, there were less types of schemes you could have in the past, and with more multiple formations, obviously includes more different type of runs. So that's probably been the biggest challenge we've had, and we'll continue to be as we go through.
How have you seen Cole develop, you know, from the spring of getting comfortable at that center position?
Oh, I think he's done a good job. I think he's had a good camp. You know, Cole can really run. He's explosive. I think he's gotten better and better with the communication. That was a little different for him. He had a good spring, he had a good camp, had a good summer, worked extremely hard, was in great shape. And, you know, he's definitely done a good job.
How different is it getting Cam Jones? You didn't have him in the spring. but
Yeah,
getting
well,
him
he's got a
back.
lot of experience. You know, you wish you would have had him. You know, you don't realize how important those 15 days are until you have somebody that didn't get those 15, no matter how old, you know, no matter what year they're in, if they're new or whatever. And so you'd like to have had him during that time, but you know, he's done a good job. He was able to do a little bit more in the summer, and has gradually come on. So he's doing better and better.
Got a couple guys on the line that have been at different couple positions just over the last few years. Just how important is that versatility in your eyes across the board?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you get in a situation where guys can play multiple positions, it adds value to them. And, you know, there's a handful that have played different spots across the board. You know, Steven, Cole, Nick's played different spots. Cam's played, Dollar Bill's played a lot. So that helps a little bit where you got guys that, you know, can move anywhere, that can give you a chance to hopefully put your best people out there and not be a big drop-off. You know, so, but now it is new to them, but still. So they don't have the cumulative reps of maybe playing tackle in this system as they may have had before. But they've all gotten to be able to move around and do some things.
What's the difference you've seen between Percy in training camp compared to spring?
Well, I think Percy's got all kinds of talent. I think he's a really talented player. He's got size. He can bend. He can move. You know, Percy's got to focus on the little things and stay focused. And if, you know, like we tell him all the time, the only thing that can stop Percy is Percy. So he is an extremely talented player that I think will continue to get better as he's here. And we just got to keep doing that and speeding it up.
Is there an ideal number you'd like to have? I mean, you're still 3 weeks away from your first
5.
SEC game, and then another one, but that you're going to try to carry on a roster at this point.
You know, I mean, you'd like to have a bunch, you know, but how realistic is that? You know, that's tough to say. You know, I think you always start with 5, and then you try to find if you can get to 7 or 8 you can count on, and then hopefully get it to 10. And you know, where they're at right now, it may be different in a month from now, as we all know. You know, you take a guy like a Leon Bell, who's extremely talented, but, you know, didn't get here until the end of the summer. He'll be a lot better player in October than he is right now. So, but yeah, you'd like to get it where it's too deep across the board and that you feel comfortable with, but that's tough.
I know it's been a week since, this is a week before y'all played first game, but what's it been like to go against this defensive line, having to block those guys?
Yeah, I mean, they've got some really good players, and you know, and then schematically they do such a good job. Coach and Brock and those guys do an outstanding job. So it's tough to be able to, but it's good for you, man. It prepares you for things you're going to see, and you know, we got good players, got good schemes, and that only makes us better. Hopefully we can perform well enough at practice where we help make them better too.
You obviously came from an SEC program and have been to, you know, a couple in the past. Just how, I guess, advantageous is it coming into another one and sort of already knowing what an SEC offensive line has to look like and has to be able to do, given you have a group of new guys that you're coaching? Yeah,
I mean, I think you know, it's anywhere that we've been, you know, the hardest part when you're new, you don't know how everybody's going to react when you go out there and the lights are on. So, you know, you're kind of waiting on that opportunity. You hope, you know, like tomorrow or Saturday, you hope the last scrimmage kind of gave you some indication of how some of the guys will do when the pressure's on and those type things. And, you know, we've got talent in this room, and we've got some guys that have experience. How we're gonna play, we'll find out 7, 8 days from now.